What's the difference between a female narcissist and a male narcissist then?
With women, they manipulate using sex. Sex is by far their best tool. Seductive to a whole nother level. Best sex they've ever had. I had one person describe it as circus sex. So the men they pick on are men that are going to be absolutely in awe of this woman. And what they often do as well is that very early on they talk about threesomes with another woman because they think that's what a man wants to hear.
A simple test for narcissism. All we gotta do is call someone out on their behavior, communicate a boundary, tell them no, or even simply disagree with them and see how they respond. Now, if they are narcissistic and we call them out, they might lose their minds. They might try to guilt and shame us. They might try to tell us that our boundaries are silly or ridiculous. In other words, they will flip the script back on us and gaslight us, and they will become emotionally volatile. If we tell them no, same thing. They might lose their minds and get all upset at us, tell us we're crazy for saying no, or even a disagreement where we have a different opinion, but they can't handle it because they need people to think just like them to reaffirm them. They don't have the security and the comfortability in their own skin to even tolerate differing points of view.
Hey guys, so I decided to talk about this topic. I got it from the comment section. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, let me know in the comment section. For the sake of today's video, we're going to go over Nathan's experience with a female covert narcissist. Here's what he has to say. I've recently come to the realization that I've been dating a narcissist for the past 6 months. Fortunately, this time I was able to maintain my strength and avoid letting the tragedy of previous relationships drag me down into sadness or a breakdown. The woman in question is currently blocked, but I briefly unblocked her this evening so that I could send her this message. As soon as it was sent, I made sure to block her once more to avoid becoming involved in anything, in the hopes that it would be helpful and reassure other victims of this kind of abuse that they are not alone. I wanted to share what I sent to her. She put on a funny, unnaturally cherry and flirtatious demeanor to cover up her insecurities. She had the arrogance, believing she was the best, and the only reason she couldn't find anyone to date was that no one met her standards. She had the vanity, posting selfies with vague quotes all the time. She also had the wealth, driving a custom-plate Beamer and wearing expensive clothes. I was unaware that there are more subtle and challenging to spot forms of narcissism. People who pretend to be interested in your life yet who, at first glance, seem to genuinely care about you. They are very honest with you about their lives and like virtue signaling, while acting as though they genuinely care about you and the people in their life. You soon realize that the majority of the topics they discuss center around them. Any interest in you or other people is typically channeled back into concentrating on them. They engage in subtle behavior to compel you to pay attention to them. They constantly babble at you and dominate the conversation, barely paying half attention to what you have to say and simply waiting for their turn to speak. They frequently use passive-aggressive strategies like messaging or calling someone else, where they don't get the attention they believe they deserve, or they pout and leave since they know that making too many outward demands would reveal them. They try to win you over by love-bombing you, showering you with intense compliments, and you start to believe them when they tell you that you've finally met someone you can love. These gradually disappear and are only activated when necessary, such as after a fight when one party feels like they have won and needs to convince you that they are still kind and caring. They hold an extremely rigid conception of reality and will react aggressively to any competing viewpoint or even the slightest criticism. If you confront them about their actions, they are uninterested in making up for it or directly apologizing and fixing the issue. Instead, they will attempt to justify their actions by claiming that they were joking or acting out of love. They'll downplay the situation and claim that you're being overly sensitive and overreacting because it wasn't intended to upset you. Any effort you make to explain a different, more realistic point of view to them is ignored. They'll pick out the parts of what you say that allow them to confirm their perception of reality, and they'll keep going around in circles until you finally give up and concede defeat from tiredness. When it becomes clear that they are losing the argument and feel threatened, they take note of everything you have told them in confidence and use it against you. If they do apologize to you, it will be for something unrelated to the original problem. And they will then claim that they have already apologized for a great deal and that you are simply unable to let go. Any problem will be put on you again, with someone accusing you of not communicating well enough, being too silent, or simply having a low tolerance for being teased. It would have stopped if you had only said something. When you do say something, they immediately start an argument. They might make a note of it and decide not to repeat that specific action, but they will probably find another way to fulfill their needs. Reactive abuse is something they engage in. They'll purposefully do things to irritate you, draw attention to themselves, and incite you. They continue to press you until you respond. They will grasp the chance to play the victim the instant you lose it and get irate. They can act scared or be a grey rock and smirk at you while you lose your shit. Suddenly, you are the one shouting and saying horrible things. They will point out all your flaws, including the fact that you occasionally exhibit passive aggression when you are angry, and they will make the entire situation about how you responded to their abuse, claiming you are the insane one, up until the point where you start to believe them and start to suspect that you may have BPD. It appears like everything is your fault, so you try every possible solution to try to fix the issue. You think about therapy and look up strategies for overcoming it. You imagine them to have the skills and character that you do, and you assume that they are doing the same. Over time, you come to realize they are not. When you return to give it another shot, it almost seems as if nothing has changed with them. They go above the limits you set to help the relationship get back on track and engage in behaviors you have warned them are problematic. You sit there in shock, wondering why in the world they would do such a thing. As you go deeper into the motivations behind these behaviors, you learn about a form of narcissism you are unaware even existed. When you explore the causes and learn that it's connected to early childhood trauma and poor parenting, you may read about the symptoms, the way these people behave, and what they think and believe. You'll discover that they lack emotional intelligence and have underdeveloped problem-solving skills as a result of improper brain development. Everything you've previously brought up with them suddenly makes sense, and you understand why they behave as they do when you read anecdotes and stories about what other people have experienced, and you rapidly start piecing everything together. If you're lucky, you're already resilient and capable of finding happiness despite the situation, learning from the whole ordeal, and carrying on with your life with little to no substantial disturbance. You won't be totally revived till then. That's all on today's episode of Manhood. If you found value in this video, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons to get more dope content like this every day. Till next time.